next?
No comment on the arrest, but I'll just tell you this: Tank is done. Tank is hung him up, shoes off, get the bag, put a plaque up. He done. Tank is done. Period.
When you say done, you mean like not fighting anymore?
Tank is checked out mentally. Tank is gone mentally. Tank looking for the big bag, of Jake Paul, Pacquiao, something so like, and he's looking to, hey, I'll see you later. Tank is standing. He's not gonna fight Shakur Stevenson at all.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. So obviously news recently broke about in regards to Gervonta Davis. Obviously going through a little bit of legal trouble. Tim Bradley has some choice words to say as well. And then it's actually Rick Glazer. Rick Glazer is a boxing insider. Actually, no Rick Glazer. I haven't spoke to him about this situation yet, but he actually came out and he does know his boxing. Come out and said that Gervonta Davis, sources have said that, he's probably going to retire. Now, look, I think with the Gervonta Davis situation, I think it's always a very difficult one. On one hand, I look at it and say to myself, look at where this kid has come from. He was, grew up like real, troubled household. His father and mother, what was going on there. And, he really come from, a rough environment and, look at what he's accomplished in boxing. Look at how much money he's made. And, I think he can be proud of himself, for that side of it. But I think the boxing side of it and, the boxing purist and boxing fan in me looks at it in a little bit of disappointment. I think Gervonta Davis, had all the potential in the world. And I just think this is kind of what his career has been. It's been very stop-start. He's got into trouble, missed weight, not really giving us some of the fights that we want to see. Yes, there was the Ryan Garcia fight, but, Ryan Garcia, again, never been a world champion. Lost against Rolando Romero. I mean, we don't even know how good Ryan Garcia is. So, if that's your big win, I did think Gervonta Davis at this moment in time would have accomplished more. So yeah, it's a very difficult one. I've always, liked Tank. I've always, tried being on his side because again, I think it's difficult for him. I think he's someone that grew up in a rough environment. Maybe it looks like he doesn't have the best people around him. Maybe does, need to, maybe switch some people in his circle and things like that. I don't see this, horrible person like a lot of other people see, but I think, he's probably got some demons and I think he, hopefully, gets the help that he needs and really works on them. Again, I think it's a bit of a shame. I think it's a bit of a shame with Gervonta Davis. In regards to the actual retirement talk, my personal opinion, I don't think Gervonta Davis will retire. I think that, Tim Bradley is a little bit right in terms of, I have to agree. I do think that he probably has checked out. And I think his head is not in the game. I think that's a very dangerous place to be in, by the way. I think in boxing and in a lot of professional sports, you need to be 100% in or 100% out. There's really no 50-50. It's a life that you either have to live or you don't live it. We've seen guys that, kind of 50-50 it and things like that. And they end up getting hurt. Okay, so I don't think that this is a sport you can do that with. So I think, a part of him is, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I remember when Vasily Lomachenko, after that Devin Haney fight, looked like he was, 1 foot out the door. And I wanted him to retire, okay? Because I think if your heart's not fully in it, I think it's too dangerous of a sport to, do 50-50. So I don't, however, with that being said, Gervonta Davis is 30 years of age. I do think that he still has some things to prove. The Lamont Roach fight was not a good performance at all. Some people actually think that he lost that fight and it was a draw, so that's his first blemish on his record. I think that rematch probably will happen. I actually think that it doesn't help the fact that he's probably with PBC, who is a promotional company that fighters don't fight regularly. I think Gervonta Davis is a little bit similar to, a John Jones or a Tyson Fury. When they're not in training camp, that's when the issues start happening. When they're in the gym, in training camp, locked in for a fight, things actually, go well and they stay out of trouble. So look, I think the Lamont Roach fight will happen. Will we get a Shakur Stevenson fight down the line? Who knows at this point? I think it's like pretty much all up in the air. Before Gervonta Davis, I think, hopefully he can get the help that he, it seems like he definitely needs. More legal trouble, so, not a good situation at all. And yeah, hopefully he can get the help he needs, return back to boxing. And again, stay in the gym, okay? Because I think this is someone that, again, you know, when he's in the gym, when he's locked in, when he's focused, you don't really see these incidents happening. It's when he's, you know, got too much time on his hands, maybe around some questionable people, that these incidents, you know, start to happen. So those are my thoughts. Obviously, always interested in what you guys have got to say. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we'll be back shortly, and I'll see you guys on the next one.